Thanks for coming to celebrate our 20th anniversary at IG. We're so excited to be celebrating with you.
Absolutely. I've always appreciated Improve Group and I'm happy to celebrate with you.
Oh, thank you. Because it's our 20th anniversary, it just has me in a reflective mood. And one of the things that I've been really reflecting on is how grateful I've been to work with partners, and you have been a really big part of that. So I'm really excited to take this time to reflect. Um, we're recording this video as part of a series celebrating IG 2020, and we came up with the theme of celebrating connections. And so this is really going to be about talking about our connections. What would you like to share?
I'm Karen DeYoung and my firm is DeYoung Consulting Services, and we're an organizational development and talent management firm that helps organizations achieve their mission through programs and processes and enhancing their culture. And I've been doing this work for 25 years. And early on, even when it was just me, I always valued partnership. So I'd always bring in partners, even if it meant me personally making less money, because I value the importance of the diverse skill set and other perspectives. And it was important to find people who share the same values and same work ethic as me. And you and Improve Group, we've been partnering for many, many years, in large part because of that. Those key factors that we work in the same way, integrity, all those different things that are really important to me. I know are important to you as well. So I appreciated you over the years.
Oh, thank you. Actually, this is really a nice segue to one of the things I wanted to talk about, which I see one of the benefits of partnering is the opportunity to tap into diverse skill sets, excuse me, and really draw on each other's expertise. So I'm curious if there's a time that you had the opportunity to draw on Improve Group's skill set in the work that you were doing.
Yeah, so we do a lot. We're called into a lot of challenging situations where an organization or a team is having difficulty. And there was a particular public sector division within an agency that was having a lot of turnover, a lot of staff dissatisfaction. And so we're called in to do an assessment. And I knew that you have folks on staff who are particularly interested in organizational assessment. And we're hoping for some help in the analysis part of the work. So we did interviews, and some members from your team were brought in and analyzed the interviews that we did. And what they helped us to do is to really quantify what was being said. So the quotes and people's stories, we were able to say, X number of people shared about experience with this particular thing. So it gave us more confidence, I think, in terms of going back to the client. And there were a number of different problems, but it really helped to pinpoint, in this case, a particular staff member that the team was having challenges with. And in the follow-up, we found out that they were able to really take some measures to help improve the relationships between the team members and staff. So it was really, really helpful, I think, to have your team work with us and just sharing ideas about what we both saw in the data that we gathered. And that was super helpful. How about you?
One of the times I was remembering, maybe because we're here to celebrate our anniversary, is we were called in to help a nonprofit that was reaching a milestone anniversary of their own. It was their 25th anniversary. And they wanted to do an assessment of how the community thought of them, where they were really achieving on their mission, and where there may be some room for them to grow. And we did a bunch of interviews. And one of the things that I really appreciated about what DeYoung Consulting brought to that project is a very strong perspective around organizational development and the idea that not only did they have to be doing programs and services aligned with their mission, but they needed to really structure their organization in a way that made sense for their sustainability and their ability to deliver on that mission. And I don't think those insights would have happened without your expertise in that project.
Yeah, that was interesting to bring our diverse perspectives together, to make the whole really in the benefit of the organization.
Yeah. One other thing I was thinking about is partnering has allowed us to draw on each other's skill sets, but sometimes it's just allowed us to tackle some bigger and more challenging projects because we were able to bring both of our teams to that project. Um, it makes me think about the time when we were asked to evaluate MNsure after it had just been in place for maybe a year at the time. It was really, really brand new, and it was a large project. What are some things you remember about that project?
It was large and complex, a lot of different moving pieces, and I was brought in to do quite a few interviews and then to work with Improve Group to kind of suss out what are we hearing and what are some of the themes and what do we want to reflect back to the client. And I think a lot of, I mean, this was a while ago. We've been working together for a long time. And I was in thinking about this, I think that was like 6 or 7 years ago. A lot of the things were similar to now. So I know that the idea of immigrant communities really wanting to be able to access services in their communities from people they trust and know, and how some of the navigators, for example, um, how they wanted the navigators to move through the entire process rather than just part of it. So many of the same desires that we still see and many of the organizations still struggle with. How do we both work with organizations to help them to better um, connect with their communities and offer services. So it was really helpful, I think, and enlightening, I guess, to see um, that whole healthcare MNsure thing evolve and to be able to be a part of that, rolling that out.
Yeah. Yep.
We're doing a large work with a large nonprofit now that is, post George Floyd's murder. A lot of organizations are um, assessing their diversity, equity, inclusion efforts, and this one in particular, employees are going to leadership and saying, um, you need to be doing better at this. And so we're doing an assessment, a DEI assessment, and we brought you guys in to help with it. So what are your thoughts? And this is still fresh and new. What are your thoughts about that project?
One of the things that I really loved about that project is it gave us a chance to dig into an issue that our staff are really passionate about with an organization that is really important in our region. So we really want to see it succeed in doing good work in a way that is equitable and inclusive. Um, and I really appreciated that the way that our staff were able to step in was really a way that just allowed you to flex your capacity out a little bit bigger than it would have been without us. Getting in and doing some of the qualitative analysis and helping to support some of the theming and coding. And one of the things you mentioned really early is that having other organizations that you know are aligned with your values and work style really played out in this project where we had these few steps that took place over just a 2 week period of time where we got onboarded onto the project. We used tools, analysis software that we both use in our practices to support the work, and then had a debrief conversation just a week and a half later. And I loved that we were able to really show how aligned we were with the work in a project that you were leading, but really spoke to the passions of our team.
And I know because you and I have talked, in the interim, during the pandemic and the civil unrest, that it's been important to your staff to want to do something. So what do we do, given these circumstances? So being able to work together on something that addressed that was great.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think that speaks to me of how important it is, not just for my staff, but for me personally, to have a trusted colleague to partner with. I don't know if I told you this, but you were the first person I met with after the pandemic in person, and I remember us texting about how are we going to make it safe, what was going to work, and we chose to meet outside at Minnehaha Falls, and we packed a little big lunch each of us, and it meant a lot to me to be able to see you in that time of upheaval as we were really just in the early stages of adjusting to COVID-19. So I just want to share that it's meant a lot to me. And I'm curious if there's anything that you'd like to share about our relationship as colleagues.
Yeah, I remember that we were both really excited to actually be with the person in person outside and to be able to share. What I really appreciated during that time, and you're still doing it, is you started a Facebook group for leaders where you shared your challenges and how you were working through your challenges and invited other leaders to do the same. And I so appreciate that. Every time I got a notice that there was something posted there, I would go in and read it, and it just felt like I was being heard because we were struggling with similar things, and it was nice to hear that other people were struggling with it, but also working through it, and for you to share you're in the midst of your own struggle to share it with others and be open to having that dialogue. I thought that was really meaningful for me.
It was meaningful for me too. It was so great to have colleagues to partner with and to share with and to hear from as well. And uh, what was amazing is the tremendous resources that got shared too. So there were the struggles, but also the ideas and the resources.
Yeah.
There's some exciting and important things on the horizon. I think this call for our organizations that are serving our communities to really center equity more is one of them. But I'm curious what is emerging in your practice or in the field of organizational development that has you excited about what you'll be doing in the future.
Yeah, I actually that equity piece is not unprecedented for us. So we've talked about this before, that equity has always been a part of our work, but we're getting calls from around the country, literally, organizations that are really wanting to either add to what they're currently doing, or they're not doing much of anything at all. They want to start. So we don't do training. So the idea of really helping organizations to create systems and processes, and enhancing their culture, we're excited about the opportunities that are awaiting us in that regard.
Really great. I think for us, we likewise are really excited about the calls for equity and how evaluation supports that, and are learning some really important things about how to center the voices of community members as people are evaluating their services and programs and making changes to them. So it's something that, like you said, it's been a thread in our work for a long time, but we're very, very delighted that more and more of the organizations we work with are there right alongside us and very interested in centering their community as they're doing their work. One of the things that we're seeing is the way that will show up is currently showing up and will show up is that people want to balance hearing from people and recognizing that there's a lot of burden in communities of continuing to have it to tell their story and their experiences and their perspectives. And so we've had some opportunities to get really creative with some things like really brief interviews, text message feedback, if people are inviting us to engage with them on social media. So we're looking at the content that they're creating already without asking them to create some new content. And I was really excited about the process that you're using around voice notes and voice messages as a way of collecting data too, just to make things easy for people to engage.
And I would say also, Leah, in addition to centering the voices of community, that I think there's even a movement toward having communities lead it, and allyship, and really taking a back seat and having the people who are most effective be the ones who are leading the efforts. So there's more of a call for that as well.
Absolutely. It's really great. Good. Well, as we wrap up, I just want to thank you for joining us on this journey as we are celebrating our 20th anniversary. And thank you for your partnership over the years. I'm looking forward to many years to come.
Happy 20th anniversary, Improved Group. I look forward to many more years of partnership.